Welcome back to Talkin' Baseball. We have a fun Monday interview for you. May the 4th be with you. It's Sean Doolittle. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin' Baseball. We hope you had a fantastic weekend. Myself, Jimmy, Trev, Jake, BBD, we are all here. We are excited because we had a very nice and long chat with World Series winner. Sean Doolittle was kind enough to give us a lot of his time to discuss all things baseball. Did you guys enjoy this one? Jake?
I did enjoy it. It was, it started off heavy. I guess it was more heavy baseball than I thought. I thought we were kind of going to get off the rails with Sean because he's kind of a fan / he's seen what we were doing, so he kind of knows what we're about. The baseball stuff was incredible, though. Everything from, that 2019 Nats team to his coming up to, like how he thinks was really good. And then, as always, we got off the rails a little bit, but yeah, man, cool dude.
Trev, you played with him before in Oakland for a little bit, right?
I did. I got to know him in 2017, and he's just like, I love it. He's smart. He's calculated. Like, he's a guy that really understands himself and like kind of like what he does, and he just has really settled into like being himself, and I love that.
Yeah,
he's really just like come into his own. He mentions that a little bit towards the end, but just a good dude. Just a really good dude and a really good pitcher.
If you're a Nationals fan, get excited because some of the stories he told about the conga lines and the dancing and the team chemistry are like porn for a fan. That team just won the World Series, and you just want to hear about the culture and relive it more. Strap in. I won't make you wait any longer. Here he is.
We are joined by 2008 Arizona Fall League rising star Sean Doolittle. Sean Doo-Doo, how you doing, brother? Do you get that a lot?
Glory days, baby. Yeah, people, you would be surprised, man. People don't forget.
And that was back in your swinging days, so I didn't know if that was going to be. Are those fun memories at this point? Where are those memories at?
Fall League was one of the most fun times of my baseball career. I had a blast playing in the Fall League. We won it in 2008. There were some really good guys on that team. So I look back on that time as a hitter very, very fondly.
Did you get hurt? I mean, because I know it was knee injuries, right, that derailed the swinging days. Did they don't people call the Arizona Fall League the Arizona Get Hurt League?
Oh, I don't know. Do they call it that?
I think I've heard that before.
I haven't heard it. I mean,
I haven't really heard that either.
I don't know. But ultimately, that was 2008. I tore up my knee in May of 2009. I ended up having 2 knee surgeries, and I tore a tendon in my wrist in May of 2011, and that was the final straw that led to me switching to pitching. So it was a long and it was definitely the scenic route to the big leagues.
Yeah, but I mean, you're Jake's favorite thing because Jake always says that, we have these two-way players coming up, but for 50 years, we just didn't allow anyone to even attempt it. So, like, if you didn't get hurt, do you think you could have gone two-way?
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
You could have. You raked in the minor leagues.
I college. I did the two-way thing in college. I pitched on Friday and played first base on the rest of the weekend, and I DH during the week. So I could do it, but I don't know the toll that it takes on your body. Obviously, my body wasn't going to be able to handle that. And people ask a lot if I miss playing a position and being a hitter, and To be honest, I don't, because just the grind that it takes on your body of playing every single day. Relief pitching is its own grind, but like playing every single day, the mental ups and downs of being a hitter, I don't miss that at all.
Yeah,
I think you have the best job in the big leagues. Like being a closer, a guy who comes and shuts down games. It's like, not only do you get that, I don't know, that feeling and that adrenaline, like of coming
Yeah.
in and ending the game, but you also have like such a cool schedule. Like you get to kind of be on your OT, man. Like, you know.
I do love the schedule, and I try to take advantage of having some service time now where, you don't go down to the bullpen until the fourth or fifth inning. You can spend the beginning part of the game in the clubhouse, or I spend it mostly in the weight room and the training room doing like an active warm up and getting ready to go and watching the first few innings of the game on TV in there. And it there is something cool and sexy about having that closer title attached to you, like like you said, the adrenaline rush of coming into a game in the ninth inning is, man, you just thrive on it. Once you get like a taste of that, you just and it's a little bit crazy. It's a little bit nerve-wracking. It's exciting. Obviously, the down part is there's some nights where it doesn't go your way.
Mhm.
Even if you make your pitches, right? Like these guys are really good. They get paid a lot of money to hit. But like sometimes you'll execute your game plan just how you wanted to, and a broken bat hit falls or a ground ball sneaks through the infield or something happens that's way outside your control. And at the end of the game, you're standing in front of your locker having to talk to the media because you got the blown save and the loss. And then other nights you just get absolutely shelled. And, that happens. But there's something about coming in at the end of the game and kind of looking around at the guys that are playing defense behind you, and they're all looking to you to nail this thing down and close it out. They've been grinding for 3 hours. They're feeling a little tired, and they're looking at you like, all right, get us over this hump. Let's do this thing, and get ready to start high-fiving on the mound. And so it's kind of, I love it. I think mentally I was this was what I was supposed to be doing all along. I feel like relieving fits my personality a little bit better, and so it all worked out in the end.
That's that sentiment is Mariano Rivera used to say that as well. Like, the pressure was on from like the infielders, like, and the catcher, like, hey, we've been doing this for 3 hours. Like, get these 3 outs. And I always thought that was interesting because I never thought about it from that perspective. Like, he's like, the team wants to just go shower. I'm supposed to get them into the showers and easily. It's like, it's weird because you come in and the closers have all the fanfare. Like, it's the happiest the stadium is going to be when the closer runs out.
Oh,
but then it's just hanging on a thread real quickly. If things go south.
Over the top, like most closers, like they take the intro on the video board gets taken to the next level. I'm riding in on a bullpen cart, I'm like, I'm milking it and trying to take it for all it's worth. And but you're right, like they and I didn't know that he said that, but that's always something that I've thought about. And I as a pitcher, as a closer, I interact with the infielders, like throwing the ball around after an out or before the inning starts. Like I'll talk to the guys. It keeps me loose, but I also want to kind of connect with them and kind of see where they're at, and it helps me really like find the energy and the flow of the game like right away. So a lot of times the ball gets thrown around and the third baseman ends up. I had a lot of conversations with Rendon just like in the middle of an inning last year, and trying to figure out where the infielders might be positioned in the shift. And having Zim over at first. I played with Zim in college, so like we kind of have like a connection, and it's been cool to be able to share a clubhouse with him again in the big leagues. And having him over there, he's so stoic. He's like a rock. He just kind of like calms me down just like by looking at him. He doesn't get rattled about anything.
Rendon too. You're like looking at two guys there who are just.
I had to make sure Rendon was awake. Like I was like, Tony, you good? Like, and he would always throw me change-ups. He wanted me to throw the hitter change-ups. So he would send me like subliminal messages, maybe, I don't know, but like hey, the ball would get thrown around the infield, and he would make us like he would like turn it over and like flip it back to me.
That's funny.
That's great.
That's awesome.
What was more nerve-wracking, coming in for your first save, or the first time you tried to use the closer rules and stay longer in the clubhouse? Like, were you worried that the manager was going to call you out and be like, "Wait, you're this guy
now"? That wasn't as nerve-wracking for me because like I asked Bob Melvin at the time. And every player that's played for Bomel, I think they have a ton of respect for him, and I had a great relationship with him, and I was just like, hey, look, like once I started sliding into that role in 2014, kind of asked like, would it be okay if I spent the first few innings in here in the weight room, moving around a little bit? Because in Oakland, especially, like even in the summer months, it's chilly. Like, and there's nowhere to hide in that bullpen. You have a little, wooden roof, and you're sitting on the field, and there's a space heater down there to try to keep you warm, but it gets chilly. Like even in July and August, you need a sweatshirt and a jacket, and so I just communicated with him because I didn't want him to like wonder where I was or think like I was getting a little too big for my britches. So I asked him and made sure that I kind of had permission for that. But my first save was super nerve-wracking because it was against the Yankees my rookie year, and Balfour, who was our closer, was down that day. I believe he'd worked probably 3 days in a row. And same with Ryan Cook, man. So they came to me before the game, and they were like, hey, if it gets to then you're going to have the 9th. And I was like, all right. I'd been in the big leagues for like a month at this point, and I was just like, okay, like I'm just happy to be here. And then like the game starts, the game progresses, and I'm watching the scoreboard, following the lineups, and around like the 6th or 7th inning, you start to try to envision who you might have in that 9th inning if things kind of stay the same. So you're like, all right, I'm gonna probably face this chunk of the lineup, and you might get at that time there was a binder in the bullpen that had all the scouting reporting information. Now it's an iPad, and I like flipped it open, and I was like, I forget the exact order, but it was like
I have it here.
Like,
it's crazy.
It was like, was it Cano, A-Rod, Andrew Jones?
A-Rod, Cano, Teixeira, Andrew Jones is the 4 batters you faced in your first save.
Yeah.
At Yankee Stadium in a 1-run game.
It was at the Coliseum. Oh, it was
at the Coliseum?
In a 1-run game. A 2-1, I believe, was the score. And I think A-Rod led off with a hit.
Yeah, single.
Yeah, it was this weak broken bat, like bleeder to left. But and I was like, all right, if I can get in on him, maybe. All right, so maybe like I still have my good fastball. It wasn't like a solid hit. I was like, all right, I think I might be able to figure this out somehow. And then Cano was next, and I was like, I felt pretty good about the left-on-left matchup, and I was like, I got him. And then Teixeira, I was like, he was like one of the guys, him and A-Rod, especially in that lineup, just had like a presence in the box that I remember just being like, it was kind of like a welcome to the big leagues moment. And I was like, gee, like these guys are just next level. And I've been watching these guys on TV for the last several years. And as like a fan, I'm like well aware of what they're capable of doing and what their careers have been like. And I got now, and at some point during the Teixeira at bat, A-Rod stole second, probably because I was super slow to the plate and still am. And so now I'm like, great, I have Teixeira with the tying run on second. This is going great. And but I think I got him looking, which I was kind of like, what were you looking for? Like a fastball in like a different spot, maybe? I don't know.
Well,
And then I
A-Rod
had
took off on him. Maybe A-Rod distracted him.
maybe. Oh, okay, that was strike three. Okay, maybe, I don't know. But then I had a long battle with Andrew Jones for the final out, and I was like, you're gonna have to earn every single bit of this. Like if you're going through the teeth of this order, with just these names and these guys against the Yankees. My mom's side of the family are diehard Yankees fans, and we've converted some of them to Nationals fans after the World Series, but they're from North Jersey. They're still very much Yankees fans at heart, I think. And so for me, like growing up, hearing about the Yankees and constantly having to be on the opposite end of the family bragging rights and stuff, I was like, it had to be this way. And Jones is battling, he's fouling off high fastball after high fastball, and I was like, I'm gonna have to earn every single bit of this, man. Like all 1,000 of these home runs combined that these guys have in their career, I'm gonna have to find a way to get through this. But so it was extra special to nail that one down.
Hey man, it's a hell of a. You know who pitched on the opposing side, Trev? Husey with a great game.
Right on.
7.2 earned runs. Friend of the pod.
Every once in a while, he could throw a gem.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Sean, I want to put you on the spot a little bit.
All right.
So, traditionally speaking,
get ready.
Traditionally speaking, your best reliever, best guy in the bullpen becomes your closer. He's a guy you want at the back end of the game, closing games out. Now, I think the game's turned a little bit, and people are starting to use their bullpens differently. And now you're kind of seeing like maybe your best reliever doesn't close out games. Maybe he's your high leverage guy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's a viable option, or do you think you still have to have your closer there to close out games? If you're a manager, you have this one guy who's clearly your best bullpen option. Are you going to put him in a high leverage role, or are you going to put him in the back end of games? I guess that's my question.
I think that more times than not, if possible, you are going to want that guy to get the most important outs of the game, and those outs won't always be in the ninth inning. So I like the idea of moving that guy around a little bit in the last 2 to 3 innings of the game, when possible. And I say when possible because you want to give that guy time enough to warm up, to give him a chance to come into the game fully ready to go. So you can't spring it on him like some of these other guys in the bullpen, matchup guys or setup guys. Sometimes they can get ready super quick, but once you've spent a little time in that closer role and you spend your whole day kind of knowing that you can just gradually build up and prepare mentally and physically for the ninth inning, for the last 3 outs. So sometimes closers aren't able to get ready as quickly as some other guys. So if you can give him a little bit of time and say, maybe the best part of the other team's lineup is coming up in the 8th inning. Maybe that's 2, 3, 4 is coming up in the 8th, and maybe there's some matchups you can play in the 9th. That might be an opportunity. Situations where runners get on base in the 7th or 8th inning, and you can feel the game kind of hanging in the balance, right? I thought a perfect example of this was Game 1 of the World Series. Huddy was our closer at that point in time. Hudson had he was nails. He was such a big reason why we were even in the World Series, and in game one, we took an early lead, but in the sixth inning? No, seventh inning, things start to get a little squirrely. Springer hits a homer. Astros start making some noise. We brought Huddy in the seventh, and I thought that was a really great move by Davey to bring in our best guy when the momentum was clearly starting to turn. And he was able to hold him off and keep him right there. I got the glory, so to speak. I got the save, which I was like super excited about. But like Huddy was still our closer, and maybe we just need to reframe that title and use a different name for it, or just change the way. But I think sometimes the biggest three outs of the game aren't always in the ninth inning, and it requires a lot of communication on the front end, between your manager and your pitching coach, your bullpen coach, and the pitchers themselves. But I think, and I worry that sometimes those situations, managers might be like a little bit too eager to put that reliever in maybe before he's fully loose, or maybe like you try to find that spot to bring him in a situation in the seventh, and the pitcher out there gets out of it. He gets a double play. Well, now you just got this guy ready. He was throwing. Do you put him in the eighth, or do you try to save him again for the ninth? So like if you get him ready and he doesn't end up going in, then how do you handle it? What do you do with him then? It would just take a lot of communication, but I think that that's the way that it should kind of be managed when possible.
Yeah,
I love that.
It kind of comes off like common sense when you think about it now. Like, hey, they got, their 3-hole hitters on base, and they got 4, 5, 6 coming up with no outs. Do you want your best pitcher up, or are you going to save him for 7, 8, 9 in the ninth? It's like, well, let's use the best guy now. But it's weird that we went like 40 years without that thought process.
Yeah, and sometimes like there's a mental aspect to it too. Like if the other team is pushing and trying to turn the momentum in the eighth inning, and maybe they got guys on base, they're within striking distance, and you bring your closer in and boom, you shut them down in the eighth. There's some nights, some teams, every team's different, every situation might be a little bit different, but there's some teams that might kind of say like, all right, well that was our shot. Tonight's not our night. And then, the guy comes in for the ninth inning and it's like 1, 2, 3. All right, well, we'll get him tomorrow. But we went all in, we pushed all our chips into the middle of the table. We had them bring in their best guy and we couldn't do it. And then that's kind of it for that night. They had their chance, and the momentum kind of swings back in the other direction to your team. So there's a bunch of different aspects to it. It just, I think like people think about the way that Terry Francona used Andrew Miller so effectively in Cleveland, and is that sustainable over the course of a long season, or multiple seasons, the way it might be during a playoff series? And the short answer is probably no. It would just require so much communication and forethought up front, and having a guy that's able to get ready relatively quickly so he can be plugged into those situations on short notice. Not every reliever is physically capable of doing that. So you have to have the right personnel in the first place in order to do it. But I think when possible, looking for those spots when the game is hanging in the balance, even in the seventh and eighth inning, that is a time to think about bringing your best guy in.
That makes a ton of sense. Like just having a guy that's, well, first willing to do it. And then secondly, like you said, he has to be a guy that's able to kind of physically get ready quickly.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. So yeah, I love seeing it in the playoffs, but it's really, like you said, probably not sustainable throughout a 162 game season.
Oh, we lose him?
I think we might have lost a doo-doo. I love that he's saying that about, I think that's the future. I don't think there's going to be defined closers as much anymore. I think that we'll see bullpens being broken into sections, and we already have managers with sheets that have matchups. Like we have our matchup that we want. We know which guys match up better against their lineup. So let's try to put them in those situations to succeed. So I think we'll end up seeing that more and more instead of just having one defined closer. It's like let's just put these guys in a position to succeed.
I think there's a lot more moving parts to it than we are depicting, though, because we are kind of jumping into a new world of baseball where think of the second guessing. If you take a reliever out and then your closer gets hit and then you've burned that guy, or say your closer comes in and does the job and then he's either worn out, or if he comes in, does the job, and then you send someone else in to do the ninth and they can't do the job, it adds this whole other layer of second guessing where it kind of is that fine line of, someone's got to keep you in the game, but you want to win. Hot take.
He's back.
You do want to win.
I'm back,
Sean?
baby. I'm back, baby. What was your hot take? I missed it.
No, I was just talking out of my butt, waiting for you to come back. To be completely honest,
we think that is the future. That the closer role will be less defined, and it will be more about matchups. I feel like now in such a numbers-driven game, like they want to put people, all players, not just pitchers, they want to put everyone in a position to succeed. They want where the numbers make sense to them. So I think, and you probably have a better and more informed opinion on this, but in my brain, I think like setting it up beforehand, saying this guy is good against these players, this section of the lineup. So let's try to get him in against that section of the lineup in this situation. So we are going to have the better probability of success.
Right.
And I think like having those defined 7th, 8th, 9th inning roles is kind of going to diminish,
That's what I thought. I thought that way too, Trev. But whenever the Yankees relievers talk about why they like the strategy that the Yankees use and stuff, is they say that they like when Booney and whoever will be like, hey, you probably have the 6th or 7th today. So they can spend the whole game getting ready. So like if you're going to match up on a whim on depending on who's hitting in the 6th or 7th, then you change it on that guy. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a professional player or reliever. So Doolittle, what do you got on that?
You're not yet. Yeah.
No, you're very right. And without, I don't really know any of the Yankees guys or how the Yankees do it, but just relievers in general, the best bullpens, the most effective bullpens that I've been a part of, when the phone rings in a certain situation, whether it's the 6th inning or the 8th inning, the best bullpens are when that phone rings and everybody down there knows who it's going to be for, because you've kind of communicated and the manager has found an order and a role for just about everybody, and like the phone's ringing that hasn't even been picked up yet, and that guy's taking his sweatshirt off and he's already walking to the mound. So I think when it comes to like roles, we might see roles shift to where you're not necessarily the 7th inning guy and you're not the 8th inning guy, but it might be like a chunk of the lineup to say like, hey, if we get through these guys, it's gonna be this player, this pitcher. If it's these guys and there's runners on base, it's gonna be that guy. So it might be like the roles might be defined more by situations or parts of the opposing lineup than necessarily by innings. And I think there's a gradual shift that's already happening, because when I first came into the league, like once you got that closer title attached to you, like you hung on to it for dear life, and like you wouldn't go to another team if you couldn't be the closer. You wouldn't sign a free agent deal if you couldn't be a closer somewhere else. And you like would refuse under any circumstances for your manager to take you out of that role if you had any say in it whatsoever. Like once you got that title, like you were the title, because those were the only relievers that were getting paid.
Yeah,
those were the only relievers that were getting sought after in free agency. Like were guys that were closers, and now you're seeing setup men getting taken care of pretty well nowadays. Teams are understanding that if they're willing to take their starting pitcher out after 100 pitches in the fifth inning, well, there's outs you got to get, and these have to be guys that are able to pitch 2 or 3 nights in a row. We got to get guys that can go 4 out of 6 games and still be effective. And that your bullpen can't rely on just having one guy at the back end, and so setup men and matchup guys. It'll be interesting to see how the 3-batter minimum plays into this, but they were getting taken care of and looked at and sought after in free agency. So you've seen guys. There's been a little bit of a shift where it's been like, all right, you've been our closer, but tonight, hey, we might need you in the 7th or 8th, depending on the way the situation's going. And guys are more open to that because those guys are still really the guys their value. At the end of the day, guys want to just have a really good idea when that phone rings in the bullpen, who it's going to be for. And that's the way. I think that's the best way to keep relievers happy and also make it be the most effective for the team.
You guys, the Nationals down the stretch and in the postseason, you guys had. I mean, Scherzer came out of the pen, Corbin came out of the pen a bunch of times. Are they picking the bullpen's ear? Like, do they come up to you and be like, "Hey, any tips, any tricks?"
Corbin didn't. He's pretty quiet, and he has a really good routine. So he didn't as much. Strauss, a little bit in the wild card game. He was down in the bullpen early in the game, and he kind of just wanted. He was sitting in a section up the stairs at Nats Park where you couldn't really see all of it, really sure what was going on, but he was kind of talking to us, some of the guys about some of our routines a little bit, but he's another guy, veteran guy that's been around for a while and has a really good routine. The one that surprised me was Max in the World Series in Game 6. He was down there because he missed Game 5. He missed his start in Game 5. He had the neck issue. And he was in the bullpen, and he was available and ready to pitch during Game 6, just in case. And the phone started ringing, and it wasn't for him, but I think this was like the middle of the game, maybe like the 5th or the 6th, and I think he was. It kind of like reminded him that he's out of his element a little bit in the bullpen, and he looked next to me. He looked to me. I was sitting right next to him, and he said, "Hey, like, what do you think I should do, like, to warm up?" And I was like, "What?" I just looked at it and started laughing. I was like, "Are you serious? Like, you're Max Scherzer?" Like I said that to him. I was like, "You're Max Scherzer." Like, and he was like, "No, like, I don't know. Like, what do you do? Like, I want to get my legs loose and I want to move around, but like, I don't want to tire myself out." And I was like, "You won't tire yourself out." And this blew my mind because he had already pitched out of the bullpen in the division series against LA in Game 2. He struck out the side in the 8th and was like the nastiest that he could possibly be. It was just a dominant inning. It was ridiculous. And so I was like, that's like another reason I was like, you've already done this. Like, just do what you did that time because that worked pretty good. And but he was like, I just don't want to tire myself out, but I want to like start moving around a little bit. And I was like, I was like, I don't know, go over there and like jog back and forth. That's what we do. Like do some side shuffles, do some back pedal, like just get your legs moving a little bit. Like I mean, you could play light catch with the catcher if you want. Without getting him down, like if you want to get ready quickly, but no, like those 3 guys were obviously we couldn't have done it without them, and it really helps when you have some of the best pitchers on the planet that want to come down to the bullpen, that are willing to pitch out of the bullpen. It's such a completely different way to prepare for an outing than the starter is usually used to, but they just thrived on that adrenaline, man, and it was so awesome to see.
Yeah, I pulled. Go ahead, Jake.
I think they were just trying to flex on you and be like, wait, what's coming out of the bullpen? Like I just started out there. That's my bad.
I just love that Max Scherzer is asking you for like the secret recipe, and you're like, go jog in place, bro. Like,
I was like, hey man, we're relievers. It's not sexy down here. We're not too proud. Like, go, I don't know, do some jumping jacks. You just gotta get your heart rate going a little bit. Like, we do some stuff that looks really weird. Arm circles, and we're flapping our arms and backpedaling and doing a bunch of weird stuff. And but you got to find a way to get yourself ready with maybe some limited space and no equipment normally. So do some leg swings by the wall. I don't know. Just
yeah. I looked it up. He hadn't come out of the bullpen since 2008, his rookie year with Arizona, like a full decade. So why would you? But that's it's funny. It's funny.
He did. No, I was going to say he did it. He did it in the division series against the Dodgers in Game 2, and was down there in Game 5. And I was warming up. I was on the mound and getting ready to go in for the bottom of the 10th, and at this point the game was still tied. And I saw him like lurking the bullpen at Dodger Stadium. If you're standing on the rubber and you're pitching towards the field. But if you look in the direction of where like first base would be, so just like as a lefty, like it was straight in front of me, is the tunnel that goes back to the locker room, and I see him like he's pacing back there, like, and I'm like, this is my inning. I was like, I wanted to be like, Max, get the hell out of here. Like, I see you back there. I'm gonna like it's my turn to pitch, and like. Because like relievers, once you get called and you start warming up, like you get really like defensive and protective of like your opportunity to pitch, and then Howie hits the home run and we go up 4, and he's still back there and he's pacing, and I'm like, all right, now you're just making me nervous, because it's like if I run into trouble, like you're gonna come in. Are you basically saying I'm gonna mess this up, and you're gonna have to like be ready to come like bail me out? I was like, but he'd had a little bit of experience. He got a crash course maybe in the playoffs of coming out of the bullpen.
Yeah, it's funny.
That's nuts.
Hey,
we had Daddy Dozier on the show, and we talked about his shirt off escapades and all of it.
Legendary.
And, he was great, man. Him and Plouffe went back to the Twins. He told us he got his power swing by just like hitting off a tee and trying to hit home runs. And we're like, what? But go tune into that. But I don't know. So much has been talked about. You guys won the World Series. There's a reason it was talked about, and you guys had an older core, and you guys started off slow. It came together. Rendon's a nut, Soto's a nut, Scherzer, blah blah blah. The bullpen came together for the playoffs. It was great. What's like the story that hasn't been leaked yet, and not in a hot take like gossipy way, but what do you feel people don't talk about that team enough after the World Series? Because there's a ton of great storylines. I mean, from Kendrick and Eaton going nuts in the dugout after home runs, and you got the old guys, you got the young guys with Soto and Robles. What do you feel needs to be out there more about that Nats team?
Oh man,
heavy.
That is a heavy question.
I think like it's been talked about, the chemistry in the clubhouse and stuff like that. But to me, it could not have happened without certain guys in the clubhouse, and let's be honest, like we've had some really good guys that have played for the Nats over the last several years. Like I got there in 2017, and if you were to just walk around the clubhouse, like the names that are above the lockers, like it's almost like an all-star team. We had Daniel Murphy back then, and Harper, and Zimmerman's been there for a long time, and Max and Strauss and Rendon and Trey Turner. I mean, there's so many really good guys on that team. It's like, how have we not won? Like, and I think at some point, like we didn't have like any swag, right? Like we were pretty good at baseball, but like we're kind of dorks. Like, and I don't know if like we had enough, I truly don't know if like we had enough fun playing the game. Like, I think we were there was like maybe like a business like mentality to it where it was like, we just have to go out and win. And it was like a little bit more serious. And then you fast forward to 2019, and I remember in June, the first time we had a dance party after a game in the clubhouse, we were in Detroit, and it was a day game, and we had some travel issues coming into Detroit. So even though it was a 3-game series, like everybody's sleep schedule was all out of whack. And so for this day game, it's getaway day, but we're still kind of recovering from that. And day game after a night game is always grindy anyway. But coming in the morning, like everybody's still waking up and eating breakfast in the clubhouse, and Anibal Sanchez and Fernando Rodney walk into the clubhouse at like 9:30, and they got these tinted sunglasses. They were wearing them in the dugouts.
Yeah.
And they were like a promotional giveaway from the sparkling the seltzer water company Bubbly. I think that's how you say it. And I think they picked them up on their walk from the hotel to the field. Like there was I think there was like a promo stand like set up outside of the stadium, and they got it on the, and Rodney has a boombox over his shoulder, and they are blasting music at like 9:30 in the morning, and it's reggaeton, and they're coming in and they're dancing, and everybody like even like my first instinct was like, please shut up. Like I'm not awake yet. Like I'm still my first cup of coffee. Like, come on, like it's mid-June, and at this point, like we were in the jungle. Like we hit rock bottom on May 24th. Everybody talks about that. We got swept by the Mets at Citi Field, and so we're just starting to crawl out of the hole we dug ourselves, but we still can't see the top of it. Like we're still deep in it. We're probably 10 games under 500 at this point, and our mentality is still like, we got to go. Like, we got to go. It's very like heads down. Let's go. We got to grind this thing out. And they come in and they're dancing and they're singing, and like they start grabbing guys and like doing like salsa dancing with them. And this is like before a game, and everybody's just kind of like, what's going on? and then after the game, I came in after the game, and coincidentally, that was a special day for me personally. That was my 100th save that I got in the big leagues, and that was like a really special milestone for me. So like I came in, I had to do an interview on the field, and I was, I'm super excited coming back into the locker room. I'm walking with my chest out, I'm a 100 save guy. I like sorry about it. Well, immediately they start blasting this music, like they were waiting for me. Which I thought was really cool. Like they recognized like what happened for one of their teammates. They waited for me to start this celebration after the game, and like it was like, all right, he's here. There's guys like with their shirts off, and like all they're wearing is like their sliders, like, and I'm like, what is going on? And they were like, all right, let's go. And like somebody presses play on the speakers, and like a conga line just starts happening, like around the clubhouse in Detroit, and I'm like, and like Trev, you've been there. Like it's not that big. It's kind of like a U-shaped room, which is not ideal for a conga line because that requires a lot more snaking, and and I was like, what is going on? And like initially, like my first thought after the game was like, no, like we're celebrating too much after winning just a random game in June. Like what are we doing? Like we're going to burn ourselves out. Like you can't get this high after a win in the middle of the season. What are we doing? But like by the end of it, I was like in the conga line, like living it up, having the time of my life. And like, I think like, so that continued to happen the rest of that road trip and all throughout June and July and August and September. And after we won, there was dance parties in the clubhouse after games, and there were conga lines, and there was like a dance circle Usually Dozier was in the center of it. But they would also pull guys in, like guys that weren't still like super comfortable, like getting out of their shells, like Strauss, like me, like, I contrary to what you guys might think of me, I am awful at dancing and I have no moves. I can do
No.
I can, I can do the floss. I can floss, and that's
Oh,
like
that's
my only
huge,
dancing.
man.
Whoa.
Right.
Counts.
Yeah. So that's like my go-to. That's home base for me when it
Yeah.
comes to like dancing. So that I can always fall back on, which gives me a little bit of confidence when they pull me into the middle
You
of the
gotta
circle.
have it.
But like, it started with the Latin guys. It started with Doge, who I don't know if he talked about this, but completely fluent in Spanish, which was really cool to have somebody, an American English speaking player, take it upon themselves to learn Spanish, having spent time playing in Latin America in winter leagues and stuff like that. But to have guys like Para and Anibal Sanchez and Fernando Rodney, guys who have established themselves in this league, show us like, hey, it's okay to have fun. Like we can still have fun and get us to loosen up a little bit. And yeah, you saw the dancing in the dugouts after home runs. You saw the handshakes and stuff before the game, and in the dugout get more elaborate over the. It was because of those guys that we were finally able to loosen up enough to start having enough fun to like enjoy the opportunity that we had and come together as a team. And for me, in that moment in Detroit, like I was still like this angry like baseball dork that was like, what are you guys doing? We can't do a conga line after a game in a 1-run win in June. Like this can't be okay. The baseball gods aren't going to like this. And then but by a couple of weeks later, like I'm dancing in the middle of the circle in the clubhouse, and it was awesome. Guys would get called up. We got guys that got traded over, and we were like, I can't wait to show these guys the celebration in the
Yeah, that's
clubhouse
kind of fun.
after we win. Like
This is what we do.
we had at one of the games, the running back for the Redskins, Geis, he threw out the first pitch before the game, and this was in the summer, so it was before football season started. But I think he was a first round pick, right? And
Yeah.
And so like after the game, like they invited him in the locker room after the game, and they were like, he got in the conga line, but like halfway through he was like, what is this? Like you could tell, like he kind of stepped back to the side, and he was like, I don't know about these guys, man. This is crazy. Like I've never seen anything like this before. But like new guys would come to the team, and we'd be like, I can't wait to win today because I
Yeah.
can't wait for these guys to see the shenanigans that goes on after the game. And like, oh man, it just got like everybody like to let their guard down, let their personality come out, have some fun together after a game, man. It changed the season for us. And in a game where we measure everything and use metrics for everything, that's still one thing you can't quantify. And we're lucky that we had those guys to help us get our heads on right.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say that, like, about every single World Series team talks about clubhouse chemistry and how important it was to their season, how it got them there, how it kept them loose.
Yeah.
And yet, yeah, you just said you can't quantify it, so it kind of gets dismissed.
Right.
But like, is that something that's falling through the cracks, you think? Like with certain teams, like, hey, like I get it, like you want the best players, and winning helps with that clubhouse atmosphere. Like if you're just losing every day, it's really hard to do that. But there's something to be said about trying to, I don't know, can you generate that like randomly, or is it just something that has to come?
I don't know how
I don't know.
I don't know how you find it. Like, I don't know how, I don't know what that process would be like, but
Are there
in
certain
addition,
guys that
yes.
help?
In addition to looking for the best players, I think you also have to look for the right players that fit maybe the group that you already have, maybe they complement, maybe, so like, I think Howie Kendrick is a perfect example for us. He, by like by like May and June, like he's tearing the cover off the ball. Like he's absolutely mashing. And even into like August, he was hitting 340. And like I think it would have been really, really easy for Davey and the coaching staff to try to find a way to get him into the starting lineup every single night. But he was like, listen, I'm telling you guys, I can't be an everyday player for this team. Like based on where my body is and how I feel, because he was coming off an Achilles injury. He tore his Achilles. It was pretty gnarly in the beginning of 2018, and so this was his. And I mean, he's getting a little bit older. We were the oldest team in baseball last year, the Viejos.
Love that.
And it was something we were very, very proud of. But we also knew that it would take guys being willing to be like honest with themselves and maybe take a back seat for the first time in their career, being willing to share the load and share the playing time. But like Howie to me was like the guy that kind of set that tone and was like, I can be the pinch hit guy that comes in off the bench for you every night in the 6th or 7th or 8th inning when we need a big hit. But my body, the grind of a season, I can't take it every single day. And then you saw guys like Doge, a guy that's, hit, 40 homers in this league and has established himself as a Gold Glove second baseman that can hit in the middle of an order. Now he's sharing time at second base with maybe Asdrubal Cabrera or Howie on some nights. You had Zim and Matt Adams platooning together at first base. You had Jan Gomes and Kurt Suzuki platooning at catcher. You had a lot of guys that were willing to share that playing time, which is I think is a little bit rare, especially if you're an older guy. Like you don't want to be keyholed as a guy that's a platoon guy or a matchup guy that can only play when lefty starting pitchers are on the other side or stuff like that. But like we had the right guys that fit. Parra was another guy. I mean, this guy, he's been in the league for 10 years. He's won a couple Gold Gloves. Like he's been around. Like he's super established. But like he was like, no, like, and there were times where they were like, I want to play more often. But like at the end of the day, like our team worked the way that it did because we had guys that recognized maybe where they were at, being honest with themselves about what their role might be on that team and embracing the role and being like, all right, well, if I'm going to split time at second base, I'm going to be, when I'm in there, like I'm going to make the most of it. I'm going to embrace that role and be the best that I can at it. And I think like for me, Howie was the guy that set that tone. But everybody just kind of embraced it. So I think in addition to looking for the best players, you also have to look for the right players that fit your roster and the way that you're trying to build your team and what your team identity is going to be.
Yeah, and a lot of teams that go into the postseason, like we've seen it with like the Rangers had the claw, remember that? Or the antlers and the Yankees do thumbs down. Like there's all those things, but you guys had so many things. Like Baby Shark was awesome. Things. The dancing,
so many things.
I remember eating and Howie with the race car stuff.
Yep. The dugout. A lot of dancing.
A lot of dancing.
As I look back on this, which for me, like I said, I got one dance move was a little bit unfortunate.
Seems like you have one more than Strauss, though.
Don't sleep on Strauss. I don't want to give too much away, but his moves came a long way, and he even like smiled a few times while he was dancing. He started to have some fun in spite of himself, I think. So it was, for me, it was really cool to see Strauss kind of, the hugs get a lot of attention. Sanchi and Parra giving him hugs and getting Strauss to crack a smile after his day was done in the dugout after his starts. And he was he came around and he really started to embrace it and enjoy it. But I think like what were we talking about? I got sidetracked thinking about Strauss dancing.
It's good. I was talking about a bunch of things, but I wanted to get to one of the things that fans came to enjoy every time it came was the Soto Shuffle.
Oh, yes.
And we talked with Dozier, who I need to hear his Spanish with that Mississippi accent. That sounds like a wild combination to me. But Dozier told us that Soto went up to him at one point and said, like, Doge, do you like it? Is it okay about the Soto Shuffle? And his answer was, as long as you do it when you're in a slump too, it's fine. So from the pitcher's mentality, what did you feel about that? I mean, do you love it? Would you love it if a guy was up there doing that to you?
I would not love it if a guy was doing it to me, especially because like I'm big on I'm like pro bat flips and having fun when you play. As long as it's not directed at me, the pitcher. Like it's not
fun.
like and so like but the Soto Shuffle kind of really pushes the limit on that because when he's doing the shuffle, he's looking right at the pitcher and he's
Squaring
making
him up.
eye contact with him and most certainly. And it's like, man, who is this guy? He's 21 years old and he's out here smiling at me. Like he's shuffling and because a lot of times like he ends up in fair territory in front of home plate because the shuffle gets so big. And like if I was out there, I'd be like, I don't think I'd necessarily be mad, but I would definitely be like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah,
like,
what's this about?
What is going on here? I know he's trying to get in my head, but like I don't understand what exactly his game is here. So like I don't know, like I for me the moment that I fully came around on the Soto Shuffle was in 2018, later in the season. I think it was maybe July or August. We're playing at Milwaukee, and he ends up in a long battle with Jeremy Jeffress, who's out there he's throwing 100. He's throwing nasty splits. You look up his numbers for the Brewers in 2018. He was ridiculous, and he's giving him everything. Soto's fouling it off. He's fouling it off. And after like every pitch, Soto's doing the shuffle, like right back at him. And Jeffress, he's not backing down either. He's talking to him. He's shaking his head, like they're kind of going back and forth, but in a competitive way. Like there's no animosity there. Like they're just both like really enjoying this competition that's going on right now. Jeffress ends up striking Soto out. And afterwards, after Soto gets out, it's the last out of the inning. Soto takes his helmet off and sets it down right at his feet and looks at Jeffress as Jeffress is walking off. And Jeffress is kind of like pounding his chest. He's excited. It was a big spot in the game. He gets Soto after a long battle. And Soto smiles, puts his helmet really gently, nods his head like, hey, you got me. And that was kind of it. And for me, it was like, okay, at the time Soto was 20, but I was like, here's this 20-year-old kid that's out here showing all this emotion, but he still has the presence of mind and the respect for the game and the humility enough to be like, all right, I just got beat. I got beat kind of at my own game here. All right, like you win. Like, okay, like, and like that was all there was to it. And for me, to see him kind of grow and show that in that moment, I knew that he's going to be okay in this league. And for me, the carrying the bat in the World Series was that was a highlight for me. I thought it was mainly I thought it was ridiculous because after the game he said, oh, I saw Bregman do it and I thought it looked cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, here is a guy. I think he had just turned 21. So I was like, here's this guy. He's 21, playing his first World Series, and he's out here planning his home run celebrations. Like, the game's not that easy. I'm pacing in the bullpen trying not to throw up because I'm so nervous. And this guy out here is planning this home run celebrations and being like, well, if I hit one, I'm going to do that. Like, next time I hit a homer, I'm going to do something like that because I thought it looked cool. That's crazy to me.
I made a little breakdown on that, Bregman doing it and then Soto doing it. And the comments on YouTube were so funny because I get a lot of people that don't even watch baseball. They just like find the little tidbits I put out there interesting. And so many comments are like, why can't they carry their bat to first? Like, what? I don't understand what this is about. Like, they carried their bat to first? They're like, what do you mean? And I was like, yeah, I guess we're kind of in a weird societal baseball thing here.
Yeah. I thought and in the moment, like I didn't. There were some guys on our team, that Bregman celebration definitely kind of rubbed them the wrong way and was a little bit too much for them. I thought it was just a little bit more awkward than anything else. Like
Me too.
he hit like a big home run, and like he kind of held his bat out, like that was part of like the pimp job. And then like he starts jogging to first, and it was almost like he realized, he's like, oh no, like I still have my bat in my hand. What do I do with it now? Like I didn't think like he was doing it to like show anybody up or anything. That wasn't the vibe that I got. I was just like, well, I was like, that was kind of like a little awkward. And then like he kind of tried to drop it and like give it to the first base coach or something. I don't know.
First base
But,
coach was like, "Fuck you, dude. I'm not taking your." Ball.
Don
Yeah.
Kelly. I mean, a guy
Don
that just got
Kelly.
done playing. Like he's like, I don't want to carry your bat. Just put it down.
Yeah,
dude.
don't make me an accessory to this. Like I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for that smoke. But like, so I didn't. I was just like, oh man, that was more awkward than anything else. And like, then Soto's like, I thought it looked cool, and I decided that next time I hit a home run, I'm gonna do that. I was like, wow, this kid.
Was that
is
that was the Verlander homer?
Yeah,
I think so.
It was
But it
like
was-
he hit it 700 feet off Verlander. I mean, holy.
but it was
Well-
funny because both managers were like, they shouldn't have done that. That's not right. And Bregman was like, I shouldn't have done that. I apologize. And Soto was like, I thought it looked cool, so I did it.
Yeah. Hey, and I don't. Did you do the breakdown of that Soto at bat? Where
Yeah.
he's kind of talking to Chirinos, and he said, because the pitch before the homer was just above the zone, and Soto
Yeah.
was like, "No, if you throw it in the zone, I'm gonna hit it. I'll show you. I'll show you it's a strike." Like him and Chirinos were chirping all game or all series.
I did one with him and Greinke where he squared Greinke up and grabbed his nuts while he was staring at him and stuff. And I mean, Greinke did a fake shake on a 3-1 fastball, like shook it off and then just threw a fastball right down the middle. And Soto nods at him like, "Ha, you motherfucker!" Like, because who takes a 3-1 fastball right down the middle? And there was like really cool mind games between the two of them.
Yeah, I gotta go back and watch that, man. I love watching him play the game because he has fun playing the game, but he's also so smart and so mature, and his approach is so advanced. And you know, all the stuff that he does, the fun that he has playing the game, he still has an incredible amount of respect for it. And like you said, like going to a veteran, seeking Dozier out, and going to a veteran and being like, "Is it okay if I do this?" Like that goes a long way in a clubhouse, but it also shows like that he's still very much wants to earn his place in this game as a young guy, and he's not taking anything for granted. And he's one of the most exciting players in the league to me.
Yeah,
I think there's a beautiful juxtaposition there because I think it's in the same game, but I think Scherzer getting loose in the bullpen and not knowing how to get loose between Juan Soto telling himself he's going to hit a home run and how he's going to celebrate. There's something beautiful there. Trevor, I was going to ask you a question. Do you remember facing Sean Doolittle?
I do.
Okay.
It was. I remember in particular one at bat. I don't know how many at bats. Do you have it up right now, Jake?
I had one at bat.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it can't be that many.
So it was 2000. I want to say 13 or it could have been 11. I don't know. It was pretty early in my career. And I remember I wasn't playing that day, and checked out because in the AL, if you're having an off day, you just kind of have an off day, like you don't play. And I pinch hit against you. And I think you just like gassed me up like 3 fastballs and I was gone. And I remember being like, the fuck was that? Like, why was I hitting right there? Like, I wasn't ready for that. And you were, I mean, I don't know what your numbers were, but I remember at the time, like you were super locked in and like you were like, I didn't want to face you. Like I was checked out. And I went up there and it showed. Like I was.
Yeah, look, called strike, ball, foul, tip. You saw one ball.
See you later.
What year was that?
2012.
Okay.
At the
Coliseum.
Twins?
At Coliseum.
At Coliseum, August 21st, yeah.
I remember Olivia, who was not my wife. She's my girlfriend at the time. She had like a friend with her at the game, and like I wasn't playing, so they kind of were like, gonna leave early so they could beat the traffic, and then she like heard my name, like I was pinch hitting, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I watched you at bat," and I was like, "Oh well, I'm sorry you had to see that." You know, like
Very proud.
she wasn't proud of me right there. It was a quick one.
I heard an interview you did where you said that you didn't really get into the analytics until you got to Washington heavily. Yeah. Is that just kind of like time and place, or is it something that they offered when you got there? Or like, were you not into it beforehand?
Part of me, like, I wasn't super into it. And it was something that they kind of approached me with in 2017. And then I really started getting into it more in 2018. Because prior to that, like, spin rate wasn't really a thing when I came into the league. Like, I came into the league in 2012 and spin rate wasn't a thing. Like, I was one of the few guys that pitched at the top of the zone and lived across the top of the zone. Now you're seeing guys that, really like train for that and try to do that on purpose. And at the time I was just like, I don't know, I'm just going to let it eat. Like, but I didn't know about spin rate or spin efficiency. And so I was doing so much of it by feel and by instinct and not really trying to think too much. But then, like, you get older, your career progresses, you start to need to know a little bit more detail so that you can make adjustments and try to hang around and stay ahead of the competition. And when I got over to Washington after the trade in 2017, really started to dive into it, understand kind of what makes my fastball do what it does and what I need to do, work backwards from that, what I need to do with my mechanics in order to get my body into that position.
Because you're fastball 80% of the time. So are you thinking like, hey, like the pitch mix stuff, I'm kind of set?
Yeah. And for me, like, that's not, it's, I wish it was 80%. That would mean I was throwing 20% off speed, but I think last year I was still like 88% fastball.
Okay.
Sounds low.
Some years it's been in the low 90s. And it's not, that's not because like, that has more because I haven't figured out off speed pitches yet. And it's not for lack of trying. It's not for lack of trying. Like, I spend
a really good fastball, dude. Like, don't be modest here. Like, you have an elite fastball.
I appreciate that. But I would love nothing more. Rendon had it down, and I would throw some changeups. And Rendon I would look over at third base, and Rendon's like has his glove in front of his mouth, and I could tell he's smiling because he loved it. But once I start, early in my career, I used to get like really paranoid that everybody knew what pitch I was going to throw. And I was like, I can't, it's not like I can throw harder. I'm throwing every pitch about as hard as I can. So it's like, how do I keep these guys off balance if I'm throwing 90% fastballs? Like, everybody knows what pitch I'm going to throw. They know what's coming. These are big league hitters. Like, what do I do here? And as I progressed throughout my career, I started to realize that like I could use that to their advantage, to my advantage. I'm sorry. If they know what pitch is coming, and if I show them that pitch and they see that pitch come out of my hand, maybe just across the top of the zone or just in off the plate, I can show them the pitch that they were looking for, so they'll swing at it, but I can get them to kind of swing at it on my terms. And with the deception that it has, I can probably miss their barrel. I can get them to pop it up, or I can jam them. And then, starting to learn more about the spin axis and the spin efficiency. I don't have elite spin rate.
Really?
No, I don't. Like, on a good day, like, I'm 2,400, but I spend most days. It's my spin efficiency that makes it effective, and that's the deception. So the spin rate that I do get, it maintains it for the entire way to home plate, because I can spin it on almost a true 12-6 axis. And so it really holds its plane and looks like it jumps and rises and has that deception. So having been a hitter, just long enough, I know what those fastballs kind of look like. And I know how tough they are to square up because you fight so hard to stay on top of it, and you never can really seem to square it up. It's kind of like hitting a wiffle ball. Like sometimes, it just seems to like slip off the barrel of your bat. Like it's hard to explain, but once I started to understand kind of what made the fastball effective from a scientific standpoint, it gave me more confidence to be like, all right, I'm not doing this by smoke and mirrors. Like there is a reason why this is happening, and if I can maximize that, then I can continue to throw it with confidence and have success.
What you said about your pitches and a guy like you who is you're saying like close to 90% one pitch. As a hitter, you go up there and you understand that, and you're like, okay, obviously I'm looking for a fastball, but with your ability to locate it, it's exactly what happens. You're able to get guys to expand the zone because if they are looking for a pitch, they are getting the pitch, but they're getting it in a position that's tough for them to get their barrel to. So guys, it's just really hard to be you really have to be locked in and really try to get you into a plus zone for you. Like you're going to see right here, Jimmy's going to show embarrass me here.
This is
that
the
one I
at-bat.
should have swung
That
at
was
right
it.
there.
That was it.
I mean, that's it.
But
Now I'm
hey,
like,
back in 2012, and this has changed a lot over the course of my career too. If you had like a closer or setup man in late in the game and your team was down,
There was off speed. Yeah.
I was a
respect
changeup.
right there. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. What a flex. Huge, Trev.
Hey, but and Trev, you might be able to speak to this, but there were entire teams that were like, we're gonna take till we get a strike.
Oh, we were one. That might have been a situation.
I remember
right
the Angels were one too, and I remember like thinking like, you would show me to lay it in there against Trout,
Yes, Soto would be a guy that would do that.
He's not going to swing. You promise?
Look at.
You got two that at bat, Trev. You got two there.
You think that, dude? I got one. I think the first one was low enough. Look, Dottie Henson said this in A League of Their Own. High fastballs, can't hit them, can't lay off them. That's the story of my life, bro. And a lot of hitters feel the same way. Those high fastballs look so good, but they're so hard to get, like you said, Sean, they're so hard to get on top of. Like you have to consciously make an adjustment to do it. But then you're putting yourself in a zone that's like you're not going to be successful at a lot. So thanks for showing that, Jim. Way to go.
Hey, we got that change up. Doolittle, how does the catcher communication work with you? Because you throw 90% fastball. If you throw an off speed, is that you audibling, or do catchers still send that suggestion your way? Like, have you run across a catcher who calls for your off speed like way too much, and you have to be like, dude, I don't do that?
That hasn't been an issue for me. I think at this point in my career, I've kind of been doing it this way for a long enough time that the catchers that I've worked with know kind of what my strengths are, and so I know that if they put a off-speed pitch down, like there's a really good reason why, and because they don't do it that often, if like I'm like, all right, if I just execute this, there's a high probability that either A, it will work, or B, it will get them off the fastball just enough that the next fastball I throw is going to look even faster to them, and they're not. And so there's a, trusting their methods. And I've been super fortunate with the catchers that I've gotten to work with over the course of my career. Zook and I go back to Oakland. He caught my debut, and
Wow.
this year I was
awesome.
working with him. He kind of set the tone too. I threw 21 pitches, I think, and I threw 21 fastballs in my debut against the Rangers in 2012. and there were 3 times during that outing where he put something else down, and he thought I was messing with him, but I swear to this day, I just couldn't see what he was putting down. I couldn't tell if he did a 3 That's how we do it in baseball. Or if he was doing like a 4 with a wiggle, and I was like, it was so dark, like I was like, so I stepped off and I pointed in my eyes. I said, I can't see, and he went each time like just put a 1 down, and I was like,
I see that
yo,
one.
I was like, and that was the Rangers, and it was Nelson Cruz, Mike Napoli, Torey Alba, and Craig Gentry were the first 4 guys I faced, and I was like, man, like you want me to throw fastballs to these? These are the Rangers, man. The 2012 Rangers lineup was no joke, and but like there are times where they might. There's just kind of like an understanding. Like I'm like, if you just put a fastball down, I'm gonna try to hit your mask. Like that's my focal point for most catchers based on their stance. I've had some guys that sit taller and I have to use the logo on their chest protector or whatever. But like, if you want it lower, like do something. I need you to make that clear to me. Sometimes when we go away to right-handed hitters, we want a fastball down and away, and they'll put their glove almost on the ground because all we're really trying to do is change their eye level. If I steal a strike, great, but I'm not going to get hurt with it. It's either going to be off the plate or it's going to be down, or it's going to be absolutely dotted in that bottom left corner of the zone. I just want to walk their eyes out that way a little bit, and then next pitch usually is on the inner half or above the top of the zone. So if you want fastball that's not across the top of the zone, that's when I need like some sort of signal. But I've been lucky that the guys I've worked with we've worked really well together.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how bad was the paranoia between the catchers and the pitchers in the World Series? Because for you, I don't know how.
Oh.
Like, was that, how many meetings was there to like, hey, this is how many sequences? I've heard that you guys got 1 million calls before you guys went into that World Series saying like, hey, just to let you know, this is what you're up against.
Yes.
Protect from this. So were you guys well prepared? Seems like
yes, we were well prepared, and we had the benefit of having a little bit extra time between the NLCS and the World Series because we swept in the NLCS, and I believe the ALCS went 6 games, and so we had like a week before the World Series started, and once we knew we were going to face the Astros, we did have people from other teams and other organizations that were calling to let our coaches and staff know, but nobody knew specifics at that point. This talk was still like, hey, you got to be on top of your game. You got to keep mixing it up. Like something weird's going on, but we don't know what it is. And like, so like it was almost, it still kind of had a feel of a conspiracy theory, but we weren't going to leave anything to chance. So we spent one of the days in between series, pitchers got together with catchers, and our video guys gave us a sheet with 5 lines on it, and they were like, come up with 5 sign sequences that you feel comfortable using. And I was like, yo, I've never needed to like get creative with my signs because everybody knows what pitch I'm going to throw. So like, I was like, do you think I need to like even like spend any brain power on this? Do I need to like focus on this at all when I should be focusing on the Astros? And that's a whole other thing. Like once they get inside your head like that with that kind of stuff,
Sure.
even if like, you know, only 5% of your brain is worried about them having your signs when you're on the mound, like that's 5% of your brain that isn't committed to what you're trying to execute, and, you know, swings the advantage a little bit in the favor of the hitter. But I was like, do I need to like think about? And then I was like, you know, I don't want somebody to like jump ship on me because, you know, all right, I'll do it. And then I was like, the first thing about mixing up my signs. So like, and I'm talking to these other guys, and they're using like, under regular circumstances, they're using like mental math. They're using like different things on the scoreboard, different like sequences of like taps and like I'm like, it would take me like a week to study that to feel comfortable. And then you're going to ask the first time I'm going to have to think about that is in the World Series. Like, all right, I don't feel good about this. So like, I'm kind of having like a panic attack that, whatever, but like I got together with Jan and Zook and we came up with 5 sign sequences that I felt comfortable using.
The catchers had to memorize 5 different sequences for every pitcher.
Probably have the wristband, right?
Yes, so we had the wristband. So
Okay.
what happened was like, all right, I would come out of the bullpen, and when Davey would come to make the pitching change, he would bring my card with my 5 sign sequences on it, give it to the catcher, or so it was Jan in game 1, I think, and he would give Jan, and Jan would slide that into his wristband, and I had mine in my hat, in the lining of my hat, and then so Jan was like, all right, we're going to start with sign set 2. I was like, all right. So I take the hat off and I looked at it and I was like, all right, that's the sequence we're going to use. And then, if the at bat would go on for too long, because I came in with a guy on second. So right away, I'm like, all right, we're going to figure out if this works or not. And like, I was like, all right. So if this, the at bat would go on too long, or you wanted to change it after each hitter, he would come out and just give you like, hey, we're going set 3.
Yeah.
We're going set 4. And then, but our video guys would change the sequence after each game. So next game, if I came into the game and the catcher comes out and says, hey, we're going set 2, that's a different set 2 than the other day. So like, just trying to keep them off balance a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
By giving them
Gary Sanchez and the Yankees, that they didn't run the same set of signs for more than 4 pitches. Like I made like a breakdown of it, like counting down, like
that's crazy.
Well, they lost in 2017 and had been filing complaints for 3 years. Like they knew good and well what was going on. So
4 pitches?
Yeah, like if an at bat got deeper than 4 pitches, the set was changing, and they were constantly checking their hats and all that. And if there was a good swing, you'd see them change it.
Oh my gosh!
Like hyper paranoid.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, that's crazy.
Look, hindsight. I've told this to Doge. Hindsight now, the 2019 Washington Nationals are heroes for taking down the Astros. Like knowing now what we know about like them and like the organization, like if they win that World Series, like I don't know, man. Like things are different, but like now that like they lost and they lost in like kind of a heart-wrenching way, like you guys are our heroes. We love you. Everyone in baseball is just super happy that happened, and it happened that way. I'm serious, dude. Like I couldn't even imagine how it would be if they had actually won the World Series in 2019. It would be a lot different.
I didn't think about it like that, but
nobody wants them winning anymore. Like that's kind of
when you were in the bullpen at Minute Maid Park during the World Series. Were you guys able to watch the game, or did they have SpongeBob on for you?
There's a TV in that bullpen, which is Minute Maid Park. That bullpen is my least favorite bullpen in the league. It's tucked underneath that left field wall, the big left field wall that they have out there, and if you're standing up, the support beams on the chain link fence are like eye level, so you can't see the field if you're standing up. And then you also can't really hear anything because you're set back underneath the wall. So all the sounds from the game are really like muffled, and it kind of sounds like you're underwater, and you just feel so removed from what's going on. So a lot of times, actually, between innings, we would walk around on the warning track, just like poke our heads out. And that way, the first time that you step onto the field for the World Series isn't when you're jogging into the game and you're not overwhelmed by everything. So Wrigley is kind of the same way too, with their bullpen is tucked underneath the bleachers. But
were they messing with the TVs?
No, there was a TV. There was a TV, but it's on a super delay, so it's usually 1 or 2 pitches behind. So I don't know. We didn't really look at it that often.
When the Yankees were there, they were playing SpongeBob on that TV in the bullpen. CC was like, they were like calling up people, and they would have a member of the Astros staff walk through the bullpen like every couple innings, just head games galore. CC talks about it on his podcast, like fucking bullshit. He used to get so mad when he talks about it.
Jeez. There wasn't anybody walking around during the game. There are guys that work that manual out of town scoreboard that's in front of the Crawford boxes in shallow left. And every once in a while they would walk by like to use the bathroom. but like that was it. And then they would go back to the scoreboard. So there wasn't anybody walking around. And the TV was there. It's on a super delay, but that's that's standard for every
Yeah.
bullpen anyway. So no, there wasn't any funny business about that, but like we were watching the TV feed to try to see, like at one point they showed the train that runs up there, and they showed it on the TV, and we were like, is there anything in there? Like guys were like all over it, but we didn't see anything.
That's funny.
Well, as Trevor mentioned, the baseball community like genuinely will thank that 2019 Nationals team for almost ever. And man, we've had you for a little bit, but we love baseball here, but we love the dudes, man. And we haven't talked any book stuff yet, and that's all in Jimmy's world. And in the sci-fi part of that, that's Trevor and I both, despite our sexy exteriors, we are sci-fi kind of nerds. So tell us a little bit. I mean, it's, I think it's funny you open up your Wikipedia and we follow you on Twitter, and it's like, on road trips, he goes to bookstores. Sci-fi.
You're in deep. Yeah, you're in deep with this book world now.
Deep.
Did you know that was going to happen?
No, but I just decided to a couple of years ago just start kind of leaning into my nerdy tendencies, and just embrace them. Maybe I got comfortable because I'm a little bit more established in the league, but at the end of the day, like I just thought like the bookstore thing would be like a fun way to share that adventure with some people on social media, but like I didn't expect it to take off, but it's been so fun. And I've enjoyed talking books with people. Books for me, like we talked a little bit earlier about kind of the mental grind that can be, the life of a reliever in the big leagues. Usually there's no gray area there. You do pitch in some high stress situations, and if things don't go your way, like it's your fault that your team lost. But like, books for me have been like, so far, they've been kind of the healthiest escape for me after a game to come home and kind of decompress, let my brain focus on something else rather than just kind of ruminating what happened during the game. Even if it was good, like you don't want to get too high on yourself. You can't be walking around puffing your chest out like you're the man just for doing your job, just for doing what your team asked you to do. Like, so for me, like having that escape and that outlet has really helped. For some guys, it's video games. For some guys, it's spending time with their families. For some guys, it's, golf or hunting.
I'm a huge book nerd. I love reading. And I saw from your tweets that you're like in between 3 books, which is like how some people can't do that. They like one start to finish and an end. Is this because you're in too deep? You're just trying to keep as many books going? But I am also in between 3 books right now, depending on what mood I'm in.
So this is rare for me. I have 2 books going right now. And I think it has more to do with just my mindset during the quarantine. Normally I'm able to really like focus on one book at a time, get super into it, knock it out and finish it in usually 2 to 3 days. But like right now, like there's been some days where I've had trouble focusing, because, reading is normally like my outlet, and some days it feels like that's the only outlet. So like focusing can be a little bit tough, and sometimes the book just might hit different in a quarantine, or you can't focus as much and you're like, this isn't really doing it for me today. And so I just picked up another one and I got super into that. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm a 2-book guy right now, I guess.
You're reading Keith Law's new book right now?
Oh yeah, well, oh shoot, I guess I got 3 books going. I do have 3 books going. Yes, I am.
They sent it to me as well, but I'm scared because you said it was good, so I'll give it a shot. But I think it was his first book. Smart Baseball? Yeah, I didn't like.
Why didn't you like it?
Was it Smart Baseball? No, it wasn't Smart Baseball. It was
okay.
It was this other book that I think he wrote that was just like the way it was written was, Keith Law has Remover of Joy as his Twitter bio. And like, that's what I felt reading this book. I was like, oh my God. It wasn't Smart Baseball. So maybe it wasn't Keith Law. Maybe it was something else.
I like this one. It's called The Inside Game, and it kind of gets into a little bit of the psychology behind maybe some of the decision making in baseball. Most of it so far has been about some of the decisions that managers or people in the front office have made regarding personnel decisions or setting a lineup, and it gets into like recency bias and stuff like that, like stuff that really like mathematically there's nothing to back up. Something like a hot streak, or the fact that like a certain hitter might own a pitcher. Like it's like, all right, well maybe he faced him like one time when he was going well, that skews his numbers, but like you can't just like throw him to the wolves and expect him to hit 400 off this pitcher for his entire career. Like that almost doesn't happen, and that's not sound decision making. It's not, there's like mathematically there's nothing to back up the idea of protecting a guy in a lineup. Mathematically there's nothing to back up like a streak or like riding the hot hand, but like these are all things that we accept as the absolute truth in baseball. And so I like the way like it talks about those things, and it looks into them, and for, if not for anything, as a player I'm getting a glimpse into the way like a front office might think, so I kind of like that too. But that's my nonfiction that I'm reading right now.
What's the fiction?
I'm reading this book. You guys might. This is set in New York City. It's called The City We Became. It's a.
Okay.
It is a. N.K. Jemisin is the author, and she is one of my favorite authors. She wrote a trilogy called the Broken Earth trilogy, which is kind of like a classic fantasy series.
You recommended me that series.
Did you like it?
The fifth season is the first book, and
yes,
I put it down, and I think I need to pick it back up, because I do respect your book choices, and you're kind of convinced me to pick it back up. But I think they were going through a very descriptive phase at the beginning. And I kind of just like, whoa, like it's a lot. Totally,
and
got to get through that phase.
Yes, and like for a lot of these fantasy books that I like, that I like to nerd out in, like the first like 50 to 100 pages sometimes get a little bumpy, and it's not always like the easiest to read, because the author is trying to build this totally new world for you and explain all of these different there's maybe the geography of the land and some of like the folklore and stuff that it can be grindy, man. And there's some of these books, they got maps, maybe there's a glossary in the back for some of these terms.
Yes.
And you're like, and at first I was like, what am I doing? Like, this feels like work. Like, what am I doing? And but like I've learned that if I can kind of push through it and get some stuff out of it, it ends up the reward is in the rest of the books. And
all right, fine.
So
let's get through it. Read the wiki for the first two chapters.
There you go. The other one is another fantasy book. Sailing to Sarantium is the title. The author, Guy Gavriel Kay, is a huge baseball fan, and I've enjoyed a bunch of his other books, and I'm like halfway through that one right now too. So that one reads like it's set in like ancient Rome or ancient Greece. Really cool stuff. So I like I said, I'm just embracing my inner nerd here.
I love it. I'm not a fantasy guy. I wish I was, because then I could talk to you about these books. But
yeah, you're like a history guy, right? Like you're like
like literature and history, baseball.
What are you reading right now?
Right now, I'm reading. Well, I was between Swing Kings, the new Diamond book about the hitting revolution, and Wild Bill Hickok by Tom Clavin.
Sick.
I like Tom Clavin. He wrote Dodge City as well. He wrote one about Ted Williams, but his style is, it's just like he's
everything I know about Wild Bill Hickok I learned from Deadwood.
Yeah. We have a history podcast, Jake and I, and we're in the middle of a Wild West season, and the most recent episode is all about Wild Bill. And I showed him some clips from Deadwood, because Deadwood's awesome.
Is it historically accurate?
Yeah. Deadwood's really almost on the nose. Besides, they don't talk like they're from Shakespearean England, but but like Wild Bill's story is really accurate.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's a good series.
Yeah, I love Deadwood. I rewatch it a lot. My girlfriend gets mad at me because it's like, if you don't know what's going on, it's like, what the fuck are these guys saying? Jake, you want to nerd out Star Wars?
I mean, again, reading is always it's been a tough thing, lifetime for me. Lifetime for a reader.
He's a Mr. Popper's Penguin guy.
No, I'm living. Everybody poops. I don't know. I mean, the best thing I got going for me is I can do the R2-D2 getting shot noise. We haven't done that on a podcast in a while, but that's all I got.
That's pretty good. Have you heard this, Trev?
Yes, I have.
Can we hear it? Wait, can we hear it?
Yeah, I'll move the mic back. And yeah, it might be a good close. Let's see. Let's get it appropriate.
This will end the podcast.
Girlfriend's in the other room. She'll be pretty mad at me.
She'll know exactly what you're doing. He's doing his R2-D2.
You're gonna be single soon.
Woo!
Oh my goodness.
Just the dog. So that's all I've got. No book update, but.
Oh my god.
That counts, Jake.
Who needs books?
It hurt my heart a little bit. That's it for me.
When you're a human R2-D2 soundboard, I mean, that's pretty awesome.
Thank you, Sean. I needed that.
That was awesome.
Well, we had a bunch of other stuff. We'll have to have you on again another time, or when things are back to normal, you have to stop by the office in New York. Or do you have a bookstore in New York? Did you go to the Strand?
I've been to the Strand. My favorite bookstore in New York is McNally Jackson. They have a spot in Soho. They have another spot in Brooklyn.
Okay.
That's one of my favorite spots. But there's so many that I haven't been to yet. 3 and Company down in Greenwich Village is really good. I have to get out to Astoria bookstore in Queens. That I was supposed to go there during our opening series against the Mets, but that's still on my list. So
the Strand is cool, but because it's from like the 60s, but it feels like a Barnes and Noble on that first floor.
Yeah,
I almost like run to the basement, like get me out of this section.
Yeah.
But been there forever. Cool. All right, man. Hey, we'll have you back again. Thank you very much for sitting down with us and
thanks for having me, guys.
Chewing up some of this quarantine time. Hopefully it ends soon.
Yeah, man. This was fun, man. I appreciate it. Hopefully we get some baseball to talk about at some point.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That would be great.
Okay, and that was Sean Doolittle, but there's actually more because we just kept talking, so I had to hit record on again because he started talking about how the balls were different in the postseason, and there was a home run that he should have given up to someone, and it didn't go out. Who? Muncy. And I didn't get this recording, but he gave up a hit to Muncy that he thought should have definitely been a home run. It didn't clear the wall, and then he was like, "Oh, the balls are different. Let's just attack them." And then we kept going. We'll play the rest of this on the outro. Or you know what? I'll just throw it to you right now. Now you know the context of it.
And then after that, I was like, "Oh, okay, the balls are different," and we just started attacking.
Yeah.
There it is.
She sent me that there was over 100 homers that should have happened that didn't.
In the postseason? That's a lot.
No.
Yes. I mean, this is numbers that she's sending. Using stats, so, TrackMan to, exit velocity and launch angle.
100?
Yeah, but StatCast is fake anyway. They don't fucking...
But I wonder, how many homers during the course of the 2019 season happened that shouldn't have been home runs?
That's I agree. So, the ball changed, but I think her theory is 2019 the ball changed. It became a turbo ball. Everyone got used to playing with it. Then and we're just going to keep going, but getting in the postseason, they ran out of baseballs. And they introduced they introduced balls from 2018 and 17, which were more dead. And so they were just kind of like thrown in there. So you really didn't know unless you were like really looking at the balls. You didn't know which one you had. And because of that, she said over 100 homers would have happened. That didn't.
Yeah, and they ran out because they started authenticating more balls during the regular season. Like if there was just like a random ass foul ball that went into the dugout, they would authenticate it and be like, Nelson Cruz, foul ball. Buy it for $50.
Oh my gosh.
That's at least
listen. For me as a fly ball pitcher, I would love the ball to go back to how it was in 2017, 2018. I pitched really well in the playoffs, so I don't want anything to be like taken away from that performance in any way. But oh man, it was different. It was different.
Do you have a least favorite home run you gave up last year without throwing like the hitter under the bus, but just a ball that came off that you're like, no fucking way?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay.
I mean, I had least favorite home runs I gave up because of like the situation in the game, but
a little different.
But there were, I
do they list?
I didn't feel like I gave up any cheapies.
Okay, that's good.
Do they list the distance on Baseball Reference?
They got their money's worth.
This is how we end shows with pitchers. We tell you how far the home run balls you gave up were. So
Yeah. No,
you
they
have
don't
it?
really they don't list
Do you
it.
have it there?
No, they don't
okay.
list it on Baseball Reference. I mean, what you didn't give up many.
Yes, I gave up, I think 11.
1, 2, 11.
Yeah. When I think like 3 or 4 of them were in one game against the Brewers.
Was it in Milwaukee?
No, it was at home. That was
3 of them.
A
Yelich,
dark,
Moustakas, Braun. What a combo.
That was dark.
Murderers Row right
those
there.
are Plouffe's boys.
Yeah.
that was a dark day. I went on the DL right after that. That was like the writing on the wall for me. That was like, you're not right. Like get yourself right for this playoff push. That was tough.
Looks like this Jordan Luplow one. 10-pitch battle. Let's take that one back.
Which one?
Jordan Luplow, Indians. 10 pitches, 3-2 count.
Oh yeah. See, I've kind of erased that one from my memory because it didn't affect the outcome of the game at all.
No.
So to me, like it didn't count. Like,
matter.
well, it counted, but like I think I had like a strikeout or 2 after that, and I was like, other than that one pitch, like I pitched really well. I was coming back from an injury. That was like late in September, right?
28th.
And I was like, all right, he got me, but like he got me pretty good too. Like if in DC, if it goes over the visiting bullpen in left field, like that's like legit. It was like way out of there. It was a loud noise.
Fellow Jersey
like
boy, Todd got you.
Oh, yeah, he did. That was during. Was that in May? Does it say?
Whatever the 8th month of the year is.
Oh, that was August.
August.
Yeah, that was that was bad too. That was like I ended up that tied the game. And then I ended up getting walked off later in that inning by Conforto double.
Yeah. So this is not a fun segment for you.
This is not what we should be doing. Yeah.
Do you guys want to talk about the World Series?
We can end this on a high note for you because I know this is probably what you really are thinking about right now. Your 2020 simulated stats on Baseball Reference are legit, bro.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, so you're 13 innings in. You have a 2.08 ERA. You have a strikeout per inning. Like you're doing it.
Love it. What's my
only
whip?
one walk?
One.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah, you're it.
That's me. I'm back, baby. See, what they did was they saw how I pitched in the playoffs, and they were like, he's back. He's healthy again. That's him. We're going to use that to predict. I love it. I'm going to take that into free agency after this year.
Yeah, you're already at a 0.6 WAR, so just multiply times 6, and you're going to have a big season.
Oh my gosh, I'm taking that into free agency. I'm sitting back here like this. This is great.
All right,
that's awesome.
Yeah, we get you off. Okay, and that's the real end of the interview. That was awesome. Long time. We didn't get to talk. There's still more topics I want to talk to him about, so hopefully we'll have him on again in the future. I thought it was funny, Jake, that you opened up with that Arizona Fall League. thing, and from there we went right into him hitting and being a position player. Like we skipped the how's it going, how's quarantine, what was it like?
Yeah,
we skipped all of that and just went straight into it.
If you were listening for that information, I think he said he's in Florida and he's doing all right. So.
We gave you the good stuff. All right, Trev, you gonna read that book now? Kind of. There's no way you are.
I'm gonna try. It was really tough. Like it's really heavy, and I like to read. I read before I go to sleep. It helps me sleep. So I have a few books I'm reading right now. So I got to get done with those, but I'll give it another shot.
Science fiction's tough, man. They do so much descriptions. Like Stephen King, just so much descriptions. Like,
I like
give me
that.
The story.
Like
give me the story. That's what I feel like.
I want to get into the backgrounds, but this one was tough for me.
All right.
But I'm going to give it another chance.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys very much. We'll be back on Wednesday with a little, three of us talking about whatever the news of the day is, of the week, the next new fake plan. See you there. Thank you for tuning in. Go tell Sean you loved him.
Yeah, tweeted him. You couldn't tweet at Lance Lynn, but tweeted Sean. Tell him thanks.
Jake sucks. Is that a Plouffe bobblehead?
Yeah, may the 4th be with you, bro.
So
Luke
much
Skywalker.
juice in Minnesota.
I'm just flexing right now. My
Plouffe,
bad.
there he goes.
Can you get in trouble for beating up somebody that's old?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.